Maria had always heard stories about the Chupacabra, the legendary creature that roamed the countryside, attacking livestock and draining their blood. But she had never taken the stories seriously, dismissing them as the superstitious ramblings of her neighbors. That is, until the night she saw it with her own eyes. Maria was driving home from her job as a nurse at the local hospital when she spotted something in the road ahead. At first, she thought it was a large dog or coyote. But as she drew closer, she realized it was something else entirely. The creature was about the size of a small bear, but it had a hairless, reptilian-like body with sharp claws and fangs. Maria slammed on the brakes, but it was too late. The creature leaped onto the hood of her car, its claws leaving deep scratches in the metal. Maria screamed and tried to back up, but the Chupacabra was too fast. It dug its claws into the windshield and began to climb onto the roof. Maria was trapped inside the car, her heart pounding in her chest. She fumbled for her phone, but it had fallen to the floor during the attack. She was alone, with no one to call for help. The Chupacabra had reached the roof of the car now, and it began to claw at the metal with its sharp talons. Maria could hear the screech of metal on metal as it tried to tear through the roof. She knew she had to get out of the car before it was too late. Maria unbuckled her seatbelt and opened the door, but the Chupacabra was waiting for her. It leaped at her, its jaws gaping wide, and Maria knew she was about to die. But then something strange happened. The creature hesitated as if it were considering its next move. Maria took her chance and ran, sprinting down the road as fast as she could. She could hear the Chupacabra behind her, its claws scraping on the pavement. Maria ran for what felt like hours, her lungs burning and her legs aching. But finally she saw the lights of her house in the distance. She pushed herself harder, knowing that safety was within reach. As she approached the front door, she fumbled for her keys, her hands shaking with fear. She heard the Chupacabra getting closer, its hot breath on her neck. Maria managed to unlock the door and stumble inside, slamming it shut behind her. Maria was safe for now, but she knew the Chupacabra was still out there somewhere. She locked all the doors and windows and called the police, but they didn't believe her story. They thought she was hallucinating or making it up for attention. Maria knew she had to take matters into her own hands. She began to research the Chupacabra, reading everything she could find about the creature. She learned that it had been reported all over the world, from South America to the United States. Some people believed it was a genetic experiment gone wrong, while others thought it was a supernatural being. Maria didn't know what to believe, but she knew one thing for sure. The Chupacabra was real, and it was dangerous. She began to stockpile weapons and supplies, preparing for the worst. Days turned into weeks, and Maria's life became consumed with the hunt for the Chupacabra. She patrolled the countryside at night, armed with a shotgun and a flashlight. She set traps and cameras, hoping to catch a glimpse of the creature. But the Chupacabra was elusive, always one step ahead of her. Maria began to feel like she was losing her mind, like she was chasing a phantom. But she couldn't give up. She had to stop the Chupacabra before it killed again. One night, Maria was patrolling a remote area of the countryside when she heard a strange noise. It was a low growl, like nothing she had ever heard before. She crept closer, her senses on high alert. As she rounded a corner, she saw it. The Chupacabra crouched over a dead cow, its jaws dripping with blood. Maria raised her shotgun, but the creature was too fast. It leaped at her, knocking her to the ground. Maria struggled to free herself, but the Chupacabra was too strong. It pinned her to the ground, its jaws inches from her face. Maria could smell its hot breath and feel its sharp teeth on her skin. But then, something strange happened. The Chupacabra hesitated, as if it were considering its next move. Maria took a chance and kicked it in the stomach, knocking it off of her. She scrambled to her feet and raised her shotgun again, but the Chupacabra was gone. Maria was left standing alone in the darkness, her heart pounding in her chest. She looked around, but there was no sign of the Chupacabra. It had vanished as quickly as it had appeared. Maria knew she had to act fast. She couldn't let the Chupacabra get away again. She searched the area, using her flashlight to scan the ground for tracks. She found a trail of footprints leading deeper into the woods. Maria followed the footprints, her shotgun at the ready. She moved quietly, trying not to alert the creature to her presence. She was determined to catch it this time, to put an end to its reign of terror. After several minutes of tracking, Maria came to a small clearing in the woods. In the center of the clearing, she saw the Chupacabra hunched over a pile of dead animals. Its jaws were dripping with blood, and its eyes glinted in the moonlight. Maria raised her shotgun, ready to take the shot. But before she could pull the trigger, the Chupacabra turned and looked directly at her. Its eyes seemed to glow in the darkness, and Maria felt a chill run down her spine. The Chupacabra let out a low growl, and Maria knew she had to act fast. She fired her rifle, and the sound of the explosion echoed through the jungle. But the Chupacabra was too fast. It dodged the shot and jumped on Maria, its jaws wide open. Maria tried to dodge the attack, but the Chupacabra was too fast. It knocked her to the ground, its claws digging in. Maria screamed in pain, but refused to give up. She fought back with all her might, using her shotgun as a makeshift weapon. She hit the Chupacabra again and again, driving it back with each blow. But the creature was relentless and refused to give up. In the end, it was luck that saved Maria's life. As the Chupacabra was preparing to deliver the killing blow, a group of hunters stumbled upon the scene. Hearing Maria's screams, they rushed to her aid and shot at the creature with their rifles. The Chupacabra was hit by several bullets, and it let out a final howl before collapsing to the ground. Maria was badly injured, but she was alive. She was rushed to the hospital, where she was treated for her injuries. In the aftermath of the attack, Maria became something of a local celebrity. Her story was featured on the news, and she was interviewed by reporters from all over the country. People were fascinated by the Chupacabra, and they wanted to know more about the creature that had terrorized their community. But for Maria, the experience was more than just a news story. It had changed her in ways she couldn't fully understand. She had faced death and come out the other side, and it had left a mark on her soul. Maria continued to work as a nurse, but she also became something of a vigilante, patrolling the countryside at night in search of the Chupacabra's kin. She knew that there were others out there waiting to strike. One night, Maria received a call from a farmer who'd lost several of his animals to the Chupacabra. Maria knew she had to act fast. She gathered her weapons and set out into the night, determined to put an end to the night, determined to put an end to the creature's reign of terror once and for all. As she approached the farm, she saw the Chupacabra in the distance. It was crouched over a dead cow, its jaws dripping with blood. Maria raised her shotgun, ready to take the shot. But before she could fire, something strange happened. The Chupacabra turned and looked directly at her, and Maria realized that it was no longer alone. There were several other creatures with it, all of them hungry for blood. Maria knew she was outnumbered, but she refused to give up. She fired her shotgun, striking one of the creatures in the chest. It let out a howl and collapsed to the ground. But the other creatures were too quick. They leaped at Maria, their claws digging into her flesh. Maria fought back with all her strength, but she knew it was a losing battle. As she lay on the ground, bleeding and battered, Maria realized that she had made a mistake. She had thought she could take on the Chupacabra alone, but she had been wrong. She needed help. Maria was rushed to the hospital where she was treated for her injuries. She was in bad shape, but she was alive. She knew she had to change her tactics if she was going to defeat the Chupacabra. Maria began to reach out to others who had encountered the creature, forming a network of hunters and survivors. She shared her knowledge and experience, teaching others how to track and kill the Chupacabra.